Hello and welcome back to the CineClub podcast. I'm Billy.
I'm Jake.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Rhys.
Today, with Marvel Studios' latest superhero outing, Thunderbolts, or, spoilers ahead, The New Avengers, hitting theatres recently, we're tackling the question that seems to be on everyone's lips every time Marvel releases something new, whether that's a film or a show. Has the MCU lost its touch, turning a bit more like X-Men's Rogue, with her parasitic touch, rather than Midas's golden one, like what they used to have?
That's right, we're stepping out of our comfort zone of praising the classics and diving headfirst into one of the most hotly debated film topics at the moment, almost as hot as the Human Torch burns. That being said though, what's everyone's initial thoughts?
I think I'm a bit so-so on it, because like, they have had more stinkers than they used to have, but like, the stuff that I've liked out of this post-Endgame sort of Marvel have been some of my favourite things that they've done. So like, yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, because like, when it's bad, it's really bad, but when it's good, more often than not, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they've released a few like actual films as well as they're just like teasing slop, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, you've had Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and you've also had Thunderbolts and other cool things along that list. And yeah, I don't know, they're 50-50, they're hanging on by a thread, I think, at this point.
Are you putting Ant-Man and the Wasp, whatever the third one was, with in the same category as Thunderbolts?
No, it's the opposite category.
All right.
That's the slop.
That's the lowest
I
of the
get
low.
you.
That's the slop.
Yeah, I get
Thunderbolts
you.
is good.
Thunderbolts is good, Ant-Man not good. There we go,
Ant-Man not
podcast
good.
over, everyone, go home.
Yeah.
I don't like any of the Ant-Man films.
Really?
Oh, the
Alright.
first one's canon.
I like
The first
the
one,
first
I
one.
think it's alright, but maybe I haven't seen it since it came out, like 10 years ago. But I just remember I don't know. There's only so much of Paul Rudd's Scotland I can really put up with.
Yeah, I don't really like how
when he's
he's
matched with like the
characterised.
Wasp, I like him a bit better because he's got someone to play off. But just on his own, I'm not too big a fan. You know,
I guess it sort of depends how much tolerance you have for Paul Rudd.
I like Paul Rudd.
I like Paul Rudd, and I quite like the way he plays that character, and
Yeah.
that he's like a superhero, but kind of a crap one, but
Yeah,
but not in the same sort of a crap superhero because he's killed people or done stupid things
Yeah.
like a lot of the Thunderbolts are. He's just crap because he's just a bit of a loser, really. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. But
yeah.
Well, I saw like a clip from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the old cartoon, and it was the episode with Scott in it.
all right.
And it makes us wish that he was characterized much more like he was in that show in the MCU, because he's not trying to crack jokes every 2 minutes. He's not like he actually has some sort of depth to him and weight, and he's like he can be funny, but he's not one of these MCU protagonists that's just like a joke a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which has
definitely.
become like a massive problem, which going back to Thunderbolts, I don't think it's as much of a problem there. You do
Yeah.
get it occasionally, like when I think it's when they crash into the desert after they break out of that bunker, and then Yelena's just like, oh, I'll call it Uber. I was like, that's so funny.
Very funny.
Because
Yeah.
they're in the desert and there's nothing about. But that was the only example of that I could find in the
My
film.
God, that's been the long-running issue, though, the MCU brand of humour, hasn't it?
I think Red
Yeah.
Guardian's like the only one in that film who just does that constantly. I'm like, just kick him in the sun, constantly just pick him up. Like when he gets him, he like pushes him out that tower window.
Just
Just
keep
let
going.
go of him.
I
go.
I was thinking he was going to die.
I thought
yeah.
they were going to kill him off, but I know what you mean. I mean, they do crack a few jokes about Sentry's redesign as well, when he gets like the blonde hair.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of like, which is kind of funny, but like it's it's a little bit
it's
going against.
Oh, what's going on with your suit, mate? You all look like that. You're all covered in corporate lines.
That is true.
Florence Pugh literally has dyed blonde hair in that film, and they're all criticising him for it. I think he looked fine.
Yeah,
He looked really
I thought he
cool.
looked good.
Looked
But
alright.
speaking of blonde hair, I don't know like if I might be like misremembering. He dyes his hair blonde.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Turns
he
it into
does.
the void.
Mhm.
Right, turns back into just Bob, and his hair goes back to being brown.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what happens, because like his hair goes back to as it was before, and he's not wearing the Sentry costume anymore. He was just in like casual clothes. So
it's like a
I don't know if he
rebirth
just
for him, isn't it?
because he regresses as well, because he doesn't remember anything that's happened.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose we'll see, because he's a bit too OP, so I don't know
Yeah,
how they're going
yeah.
to write him around that in the next Avengers.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, because we've got a bunch of like street level characters
It's-
going
yeah.
up
Literally-
against someone who all the power scalers say is like stronger than
It's like-
Superman.
it's like, was it who's on the team? It's like 2 Captain America,
Mhm.
no, 3 Captain Americas. Bucky's on it.
Oh yeah, true.
A Black Widow ripoff,
Uh-huh.
and then someone who can go through walls.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I know that-
Taskmaster for about 2 minutes.
Yeah. That was so
Why was
unnecessary.
Taskmaster in all of the marketing though?
Because
like,
she looked cool.
yeah, but like literally, like they were in like all the posters, all the adverts,
Mhm.
made it out like they were a proper part of the team. They weren't even like
She
in
was
it.
literally photoshopped into scenes where she's not in.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Mhm.
I thought. I was like,
They
how was
didn't.
that
They gave up on that in the later trailer. She just wasn't in those shots anymore. It's like, we know she dies.
Yeah.
You know she dies. Well, let's not
Uh-huh.
pretend.
It's just
My
get over
question
it,
is though,
yeah.
why does she die? Because
Well,
they've already made it
She
gritty.
got shot in the head.
I know that. Thanks, Jake. I know that's why. Like she's a bit more gritty. It makes the film a bit more gritty, I suppose. But why not just keep her in storage
That was-
until
that was-
the
Well,
next
I think
film?
that, I think that was what the original plan was with, because like I'd heard afterwards that it went through loads of different phases of like when Kang was still meant to be in. I think the after credits was meant to be something to do with Kang. I think she was meant to live until the end, but
Okay.
I'm assuming they've gotten rid of her so they can bring
Trying
in
to-
Tony Masters.
Yeah.
Stupidest
up
name
all of
ever.
it. Yeah.
Holy Master.
Tie up all the loose ends by
Yeah.
just putting a bullet in their heads, basically.
Yeah.
There was something else as well, but I've completely forgotten. That was
It
very different. To the
I
final.
heard something where it was John Walker was meant to be the villain.
Yeah, that's what
and
it
he
was.
just
John
the Red
Walker was
Hulk
meant to be
plot.
the villain.
Really?
Yeah,
Where
he was
they're
meant to
gonna-
Hulk out.
They were
Oh,
gonna
right.
the plot was
Okay.
going to be that Elena from Elaine from Seinfeld. I don't know her name in the film. It's the
Val.
villain.
Oh,
Val.
yeah, with the hair.
Val
She was meant to be
Defoe,
like
whatever.
pumping full of sort of super soldier serum, and he became the Hulk. So he would have had
So
Hulk
what
out
is
why
the
it was
point
Hulk.
in that? It's
That would've been
that's
ridiculous.
so stupid.
While having like Hulks pop up left and right here as well.
I know
Yeah.
MCU's just like neglected Hulk for years, and now all of a sudden you're getting all these Hulk things without the Hulk.
Where's
Without
Hulk
the Hulk,
exactly?
yeah, surely the Hulk should be
The
involved.
Hulk's too
in
busy
all of
making
it.
like friggin' tacos on his little
Yeah.
island retreat.
He went through his character arc in like in the blink of an eye.
And that's
in
it. He's
Endgame.
like
He
done
He had
now,
he had a good story in the first Avengers, then he's just been given nothing since. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Like I hope if they inevitably do the soft reboot after the new Avengers films, I hope, as much as I like Ruffalo, get rid of him, get a new Bruce Banner in, start from scratch with the Hulk, because this Hulk is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart Hulk got here too fast.
Yeah.
Smart Hulk should be saved for the very, very, very end of Hulk.
Yeah.
Instead of done
Unless,
Smart Hulk.
unless they thought that was going to be the very, very end of Hulk.
Uh-huh.
I
It's
mean,
just it's too little, too late. If they were to regress now, to do like Planet Hulk or whatever,
Mhm.
yeah.
or World War Hulk or whatever, or if you want to do Immortal Hulk, just
Yeah.
save that for a new actor.
Mhm.
yeah.
I enjoy anything Hulk's in though. I'm a Hulk fan.
I'm a Hulk
And-
fan, but I'm not an MCU Hulk fan.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. He's too underpowered, I think.
Yeah, he's underpowered and he's been pathetic since Infinity War.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't even like him in. That's a hot take. I don't really like Ragnarok, and I didn't really like
Yeah.
Hulk in that
Ooh.
either.
Right.
Mm. I mean, it was like nice little homage to like Planet Hulk.
I thought it.
But-
I thought it took two really good storylines, that serious storylines, smushed them together, but then just completely butchered them. I
Mhm.
wasn't a fan.
So, what have been some standout moments, films, or characters post Endgames that we all liked? Are there any that you particularly thought were less than fantastic?
Say that again.
Say that again.
Like the team. Well, No Way Home for like a month.
Yeah,
And the novelty
yeah.
wore off.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
It was like probably the best cinema experience I've had. But
Yeah.
I think if I rewatched it, it's just I wouldn't enjoy it as much
Mm.
Yeah.
because you've got all the scenes where it's just like Andrew Garfield comes out with Portland, just
Silence.
Yeah.
complete radio silence.
I think unlike a lot of the others, though, that one still gets away with it for me because they actually use that to kind of benefit the character. Like the whole reason they're there is to push Peter's arc, and they become like the sort of new, in that moment, like the figures of guidance to be like, actually don't make the same mistakes as us. They're not just there to be like, oh, we're going to join you in the final fight. I mean, they do that and it's great and it's all, oh, the fans
Yeah,
are clapping
I
and
appreciate
cheering and
that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Like,
do
actually plays into it.
they like write them into a story and create this sort of like meta Spider-Man training Spider-Man thing, which I guess is kind of what Into the Spider-Verse
Yeah.
did before that, but like it feels like it makes sense, like it feels justified that they're there, and like
Unlike Deadpool and Wolverine.
unlike stuff like Deadpool and Wolverine, which was still quite fun, but they were all just
you
there
just got
for
the scenes
sake
where it's
of
just
it.
like point, laugh, clap.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
Let's
Yes,
gambit.
it's the gambit.
You sound like Hector Salamanca.
I agree with you on No Way Home. That is the best use of multiverse, I think, because it does it gets the groundwork of the villains done. You get like essentially the Sinister Six in there
Exactly
without
that,
The Sinister Five.
It
It goes to the after credits. Tom Hardy's just sat in a bar somewhere. Like, great. You could
I
have
wish
brought
he
him
would
to
have
New
been
York
in there. That
or
would have
whatever.
saved. That would have took him off Sony's hands. It would have been brilliant
I know.
and saved Venom.
You still could have
That
had
was-
the bit where they just leave the symbiote and Tom Hardy buggers off back to his universe. But like, no, just have him sat in a bar in like Mexico. Or
That was a
something.
waste. Yeah, that was a waste of a post credits. Really, when it should have just been a thing that happened in the film. Really, but
Yeah.
especially after they'd set it up in the other Venom film and made it like a big point
Yeah.
of, here he comes, he's going to the MCU, there's going to make something big out of this, and then literally like for the sake of like a 2-minute joke, basically.
I do like the scene of Spider-Man trying to heal all the villains, though. I think
Yeah,
that was one of the
that's
nicest
nice. I
things
like
in the
that.
whole
Like,
film.
All that is quite cool, and it feels very Spider-Man. I think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just like something about the way they'd work that in, where it's like villains you've seen before, but not just doing the villain thing again.
Yeah.
It's like, he has a slightly different take on them, but still played by the same actors and with the same sort of quirks and personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best. It's like a better version of Norman Osborn as well than was actually in the
I'm
Sam
inclined
Raimi.
to agree.
Like,
Really?
I think he was great in the Sam Raimi film, but he's just the Green Goblin, whereas that makes you realise, like, wow, that he is, it sort of just reinforces just how twisted and evil he is when he, like, makes all of the other villains look, even they're a bit like, whoa,
He's a bit mad.
he's a bit much, like, even they're a bit, like, thinking about it. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
definitely. Like, Raimi verse Goblin was like cartoonishly evil.
well, exactly
holding
that, yeah.
Mary Jane in a school bus full of children.
That's why I love him so much, though.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I love
Like-
that. Like in the context of that film, it really works. But I like the fact that the sort of up the ante by bringing him in against like the slightly more realistic,
Yeah.
dropping him in a universe where it's like the whole superheroes being called terrorists and all of that, where it's slightly more serious.
And spoilers, he kills Aunt May as well.
And he
which
kills
is,
Aunt May,
That
which
is
is
a big
like-
blow to
Exactly
Spider-Man.
that. It's
Yeah.
like that's what I mean. It's total surprise, and the fact that it does all of that sort of fun, happy, cheery multiverse celebrate the history of the franchise. Look at how good Andrew Garfield is. Everybody loves him. Thing, and then it still ends with like a really Peter on his own,
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
screwed up for the first time really that you'd seen of that version of Peter Parker, which. It's very Spider-Man. Like I
Yeah.
say, I just think it works.
I think that film is the point where I just kind of lost my care for the
Yeah.
MCU. Because Spider-Man, everyone loves Spider-Man. I was really invested in his films. And then that's
Yeah.
over. It's just like, what
It's
do I
not,
care about now?
it's not over because like another one, Shang-Chi, that's a great film, and the director of that's doing the next Spider-Man. So.
Yeah, but it just takes too long. This is my. I
Yeah.
think this is my.
It does take too long.
This is my argument about all of this. I think all of the films can be totally fine, but A, there's too many characters that people don't care about, and B, everything takes too long. I feel like the fact that there's been so much content with all of the sort of B tier replacements
Yeah.
that they really want you to get invested in. They're really trying. And it's like, I get it, but you can't just do that. They've kind of got to be new characters because they're all just shadows of the other characters from the other generation that everybody
Exactly.
prefers. And it's not like we've got none of the ones from the other generation. Like Spider-Man is still a thing. People would rather see more of that, and I know there's the whole Sony factor, which is a problem, and but you know what I mean? When you're seeing Yelena Belova more times than you're seeing Spider-Man and the Hulk and all these quite big characters from the first generation.
See, I prefer Yelena to the
I
original
definitely.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
I think she's got much more character, and she's not treated like a sexual object like
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson was in those originals.
Yeah.
Like rewatching Avengers recently, I was thinking there's not a scene where Black Widow isn't the cool girl stereotype.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
not the girl who handles things. That's her whole thing in that film.
I think
She
pretty
doesn't
much
do
the
anything
only
else.
film I like her in is Winter Soldier, and even then she's still quite just treated a bit more like a sexual object in that as well.
Yeah.
But
She's pretty
less so.
one-dimensional, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you didn't even get that solo film till after the character was dead, it's like
Mhm.
I don't care
They
anymore.
missed the mark. They tried to make her, Hawkeye, and Phil Coulson, for some reason, a massive thing in the early days, and they just completely missed the mark on all of it.
Well, I think Hawkeye's a good character. I like Hawkeye,
There's
but
another
not
one
in
that
the not in the MCU because I feel
Mhm.
like I never thought that Jeremy Renner was a good cast for
Yeah.
Hawkeye, and
He's just
they tried to give him that
boring, really.
quirkiness in the Hawkeye show by drawing from Matt Fraction's run, but it just doesn't feel right with this Hawkeye who's been turned into a family man who's got like a farmhouse in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
And he's got a wife and kids.
Mhm.
That's not really who Hawkeye is.
He's
Yeah.
just kind of a boring character, really. It just
Yeah.
feels like every time you see him, he's just complaining about being a superhero. It's like, oh, go on then. Don't bother. Like, I wouldn't miss it.
What was he last in?
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
The Hawkeye
When was that?
TV.
Like
But that's
5
what I
years
mean,
ago?
like 4 years ago.
Well, he has
it's
been
like,
ran over by a snowplow.
Well,
that was
yeah,
the-
but you know, that's no excuse.
That was the funniest headline I've ever seen.
Well, I think the interview came out recently, and they were he was
yeah,
saying that
again, did it?
no,
He
they'd
didn't,
offered him a Hawkeye season 2. But
Half
they,
the
were,
money
yeah, they
was
wanted
this
to
time.
pay him half the pay.
Yeah.
So,
that's
I know, and he was
crap,
like, "What do you want us to pay? You want to pay us half the money because I'm
Mhm.
half the man or something?"
Yeah.
So he didn't just cave to them. So
Good on him.
I don't
yeah,
know exactly.
good on him for not caving because like. No matter what you think about Hawkeye, he was one of the original Avengers, and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, it should
think he
be.
deserves to have his pay shafted like that because he's had
Yeah.
an accident.
Yeah. I think, like, another thing that's raised the last time we saw Hawkeye was in Hawkeye. Last time we saw Spider-Man was in Last Spider-Man, which is God knows how many years ago now.
Yeah, those were
wasn't it?
both like
And-
4 years ago. Or
Yeah.
something like that,
Last time we saw Doctor Strange was in Doctor Strange.
There's
Yeah.
no
There's so
character
many
with a
cliffhangers.
through line.
Mhm.
Like no, because like in the original, yeah, you had Iron Man, you had Captain America, you had Thor, but Iron Man was the main character.
Yeah.
But
This,
those
in
were
this
main, like,
saga, you
trilogies,
don't
weren't
have
You don't really have a main
You
one.
had
yeah.
Doctor Strange, but he's been MIA since the last one because he was in. If anything, it's Wong. Wong's the main character because he's been in the most
He's been in
things.
all of them
He's been in like
since then.
he was in Shang-Chi, he was in Doctor Strange, he
Yeah.
was in Spider-Man, he was in
Mhm.
She-Hulk.
That is terrible.
There's
that.
something
It
else.
is,
I'm
isn't
sure he
it?
was in something else as well. And then obviously he's one of the ones I think who's been announced for the new Avengers film, or at least they've been rumoured for it.
Bloody
But
Wong.
Benedict Cumberbatch hasn't been rumoured or anything, but Benedict Wong has.
Yeah.
How? I don't understand.
I think it's just because he's cheaper than because
Mhm.
he's the Sorcerer Supreme now.
Yeah.
So I think he's just cheaper to have
I
than
just don't
Benedict
understand.
But is
Cumberbatch.
that not like
But all-
on like a technicality? Did not play that for a joke?
Yeah, they did, but he's still the Sorcerer Supreme as of the last time Doctor Strange was about.
But I
'cause,
just
like,
don't
who
understand.
cares?
Like,
No
who
one
cares?
cares.
And who cares about that?
Oh,
And
I
more
can't really go to the
importantly,
cinema. Dad, can we go see Wong?
how can budget possibly be a factor when each of these films cost like
I think it's
billion?
just
It's like
when like characters show up on the TV show, they don't want to pay for Benedict Cumberbatch to show up for like one
Yeah.
episode
Yeah,
of
that's
She-Hulk.
true.
yeah, which is fair enough.
Which it's fine with me because I quite liked Wong in She-Hulk, where he had
Oh,
like
yeah,
he
he
had
was
like a
quite
friendship
funny.
with some like nutcase woman who loved to
He was like
party.
watching soap operas or
Medicine
something,
with-
wasn't he? It was
yeah,
like,
he was watching The
Yeah,
Sopranos
he was
with
watching
some
The
lass that he
Sopranos
met
and
at the
spoiled
club.
it as I was watching it.
that's right, yeah.
And I was like, oh, The Sopranos spoiled by fucking Wong.
By Wong.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
Mortified.
Speaking of She-Hulk, actually, that reminds me. To other part of the question: is there any that you thought were less than fantastic, as Matthew said?
She-Hulk's not even that bad.
She-Hulk's not that
Mhm.
bad.
No,
I like
She-Hulk's
the
not that bad.
Daredevil episode
The
quite a
Daredevil
lot,
was
but
really
like,
cool.
it just doesn't. It looks ugly.
Yeah,
It's
that's
an
good
ugly
with
show.
him.
Yeah, that's fair.
It looks like everyone looks like rubber or early PS2 visuals. It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
There
I
was
think-
some good shows though.
the only egregiously bad show is Secret Invasion. That
didn't
is
watch
I've heard that is
absolutely
terrible.
fucking diabolical. It's so unbelievably
I keep
bad.
forgetting it
I've
came
heard
out.
it's terrible. I've seen the final fight where
Yeah,
looks
the final
hideous.
fight
Is that
where
where she turned
it's
into like Super
Daenerys
Skrull?
Targaryen off Game of Thrones, and she's got every single MCU character's power
Yeah.
ever because they've somehow
what?
they've gotten all the DNA from the Endgame final battle
Mhm.
and they've injected her with it. So she like, but like how she doesn't know these people. How can she copy them?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
she's walking along, squaring up to Ben Kingsley Adea's other Skrull. He's meant to be the Super Skrull.
Yeah.
And then it's like what's her I'm just going to call her Daenerys.
Yeah.
She's walking around, and then she pulls out Drax's arm. She gets Drax's arm with all the tattoos.
Why would you want Drax's
I
arm?
know,
With any
all the
character?
arms
Get Hulk's
just, yeah.
arm.
But then,
Get anyone.
she's in the air at some point, and then she grows Mantis's antenna things, and
Yeah.
she tries to put him to sleep. It's like, how do you know how to do any of this?
Yeah.
Just because you've got the DNA, how do they collect these people's DNA?
If
Do
I'm
they
not mistaken.
Nick
Yeah.
Fury just sent someone around with a toothbrush.
Oh, he probably
rubbing on
did,
the
but is
building
Nick Fury
concrete.
even alive? See what's going on?
I know,
These
it's-
days.
it's-
Where
it's-
was
it's-
that?
it's-
The other-
everyone-
I was checking on Instagram a few months ago, and somebody said, "Oh, it's really weird that Don Cheadle's character has been gone for 8 years." I went, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, because he was
He's
a
been,
scroll.
Yeah, the
no,
whole time.
totally.
But I have no. This is right. There you go. Well, that just points out the fundamental flaw I think with it. When you make shows that are critical to continuing the story, but they're terrible and nobody wants to watch them, then you've got major gaps in the storytelling.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch
Yeah.
Secret Invasion because, as you've just heard, it wasn't very good. So I'd heard it was terrible, so I didn't bother. But as a result, I couldn't tell you what
Well, yeah,
happens to the Skrull storyline.
Don
Like,
Cheadle's been a Skrull for however long, but they don't want to confirm it because, like, when you find the actual Rhodey again, he's in a hospital gown, so that would lead you to
Okay.
believe that he was replaced at Civil War. So
Right.
this whole time he's been a
so he's
Skrull,
been in-
but then everyone was kicking off about that because then it completely invalidates
Yeah.
The character.
the character and the bits in Endgame with him and Tony.
yeah.
So I think they've backpedaled and they haven't confirmed when. So like they might just say,
Just silly that, though,
after sometime after Endgame, he went in for a hospital appointment on his back, and they just pinched him.
Back and the aliens got him. Imagine waking up. It's like MRI. You wake up in space.
It's a random nuclear plant in Russia that he wakes up in. You've gone.
These films aren't real.
I think the only project I would say that he's definitely a Skrull in was Falcon and the Winter Soldier because he's in that.
Well, I didn't even know he was in that.
He got
like-
nominated for an Emmy for that.
Really?
There was like a
Wow.
guest actors category, and he somehow got nominated
So
because
this
there
is
was
like-
that few choices for it.
Oh my god!
terrible.
But like, see, I never finished that show either. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many of them where I either started them, gave up, didn't bother, or just heard they were terrible from the
Yeah.
game.
I think
and
Falcon
just-
and the Winter Soldier's boring, but I liked it for John Walker.
Oh,
which,
yeah,
it
yeah.
continues
I
on into
quite like John
Thunderbolts.
Walker.
The stuff with him and what it means to be Captain America, which I guess is kind of followed over in Captain America 4,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
done really well in that show, I think, with him murdering that guy and then the blood on the shield. They couldn't have more
yeah.
explicit symbolism,
Well, I know, but
could you?
that just baffles me as well because, like, yeah, he's publicly executed this fella, but the guy was a terrorist.
Yeah.
And what does Iron Man do in his
just about
first
to
one?
say, yeah.
He goes and flies into the Middle East, lands down,
and blows up a load of terrorists.
blows up a village because it's got terrorists in it.
Yeah.
What did they're all war criminals. Why does this one matter? That's why it's completely justified his crash out when he starts screaming at the congressman, "I live my whole life by your mandate."
That scene is
Yeah.
maybe one of the best bits in the whole. Stand by this. That Wyatt Russell's monologue in that scene is really good.
Yeah, it's
Compared
really
to the rest
good.
of the slop they put out. That bit's really good.
That's what happens though, isn't it? There's even in the slightly terrible ones, there's still moments
Yeah.
where it's like, this seems way too good for
Yeah.
whatever this is.
Like,
that's how they get
if they kill him off, I'm gonna be gutted. I'll be mortified.
That's how they keep you hooked, I think, because
Yeah.
all it takes is just a handful of really good moments or a really good episode, and
You
then
see it
you're
on
like,
TikTok,
okay,
don't you?
actually,
Yeah.
and then it's
You
like,
do.
okay, actually, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt
Actually,
and see what you do.
speaking of good
Nice.
moments, two that were glossed over before, Werewolf by Night, I like that.
That was brilliant, yeah.
That's
I really
really
liked
good.
that.
And X-Men 97.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That's-
I was
that's
waiting to mention
amazing.
that
That
because
seems
that's
entirely separate. That's the
Guardians
thing.
as well, how would I forget that? Guardians
Guardians
Volume 3.
was
Oh,
really
that's
good
brilliant.
too. This is what I mean. I think everybody jumps to the conclusion that it's been terrible
Yeah, there's- I
consistently,
think
but
it's
it's
just-
not
there's
because
too
that has
much.
been
You
really.
can't keep track of everything
That's
that's
all-
come out.
That's
There's
sort of what
just
I was
too
saying at
much,
the start.
yeah.
Like, they've had way more stinkers than they used to have. Like, and when it's bad, it's really bad.
Yeah.
But then when it's good,
It's
it
when
can
it's-
be
yeah.
Guardians 3 or it can be
Yeah.
X-Men 97.
Yeah, because like Guardians 3, X-Men 97, Werewolf by Night, Shang-Chi, and Loki season 2 were all sort of in my top 15 MCU things like
Yeah.
that they've done because
That
they're
would
really
done
good.
sense, yeah.
Oh,
Thing is,
Shang-Chi
though,
was really
what
good.
separates them from the slop is that these are all things we know and care about.
I feel like
That's it, isn't
but
it?
even
It's
then,
like-
though, like you don't care about Shang-Chi
No,
because
I
he was
never
a new
care- yeah.
character.
I think
It's
he's
the,
an exception.
There's the passion behind the filmmaking,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
like with Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder, there was no passion there. He was in it for a paycheck, and it's really obvious.
Yeah.
With the Quantum Mania one, there was no passion behind that. But like
terrible.
With Loki season 2, it's gorgeous. Like the film and the cinematography, it's all gorgeous.
Yeah.
X-Men 97, it's written by people who love the X-Men.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night, it's Michael Giacchino's obviously got a passion for the classic monsters, and that's reflected in that.
You've got to, that's what I was thinking.
James Gunn.
Yeah, exactly.
James Gunn's
You've got to either like jump straight in with a new character and really make you like them, like what Shang-Chi did, because, I didn't really know who he was, but straight away I was like, oh, cool. Like, this is like, it was like a full-on fantasy martial arts film. Didn't have to be a Marvel film. I still would have really liked it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was like, this is like a different kind of superhero. There's not really many others that are doing this. Like, and I like the sort of powers, and I like the way they did that. So you either get that, where it's like they really sell you on a new character, or like you say, like X-Men 97, it's a thing about characters but it's written and it pays respect to the characters, it directly adapts like comic stories. It feels like justified X-Men content, not just like more stuff. It's like an animated show that feels like a proper, tribute to the Claremont era stories while mixing it in with like all of the other more modern stuff, and also, kind of having a bit of a laugh at like the history of the franchise.
What about pre-Endgame? What were some of your favourites from the good old days?
I think
Thor 2.
Thor 2. Get out of this room.
I think if you can't not mention the Winter Soldier.
No, Winter Soldier is
unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's been people recently saying, "Oh, it wasn't that good." It is good.
It is good.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that because I
think I've
can't
seen it
really
about
remember
10
much
times.
of it. But yeah,
It's phenomenal.
I think Guardians 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah,
Winter Soldier, original Iron Man. And I quite like.
I like the first Captain America.
I like
love
Infinity
first
War.
Captain America.
Yeah,
Infinity
that's
War's
really
really good.
underrated.
Infinity War, the
It's
first
so
Captain
cool, isn't it?
America.
Yeah.
First Captain America, first Thor as well is really underrated. I think Kenneth Branagh, like everyone always rags on Kenneth Branagh's Dutch angles in that film, but like when
It looks like a film.
It looks like a film, and the reason that he's done it, he said in an interview, is to look more like the comic panels.
Oh, that's
To
cool.
fit more things onto the frame.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
And it
60s
looks
Batman
really cool.
logic, isn't
There's
it?
the
Like
passion.
that does that. And
Exactly,
it looks comic
there's
booky,
passion,
so-
and
Yeah.
that, to be fair, I think it was before Disney got. I think that was when they were still under Paramount, if I'm not
Oh, right.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Did Disney not get the hands on them around
Around
Avengers,
Avengers,
Like
yeah.
the first Avengers.
First
one,
Avengers film's crap, by the way.
It's
It was
not-
alright.
It's fine.
I can't even remember.
I said
it.
You put it
Like-
quite well the other day.
I commented on Rhys's letterbox review of it. It's shot and written like a made-for-TV movie,
Yeah.
and yet it's changed the cinema landscape as we know it forever.
So that
It
everything's
just
made for TV
baffles
movie.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you watch it, and it looks like a high-end soap opera, like that, which makes sense because it's Joss Whedon. He did Buffy,
Oh, right.
and I
there
think he
you
did.
go, so-
Did he do Firefly?
He did
He
Firefly.
did,
He
Oh,
did
yeah.
Firefly.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's sort of why I feel like it plays like that.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
That film, right, is why MCU humour is as it is.
yes,
right?
exactly.
There's a very, very
Yeah.
good moment in Avengers just after Phil's died, right? I don't know why that's the big death of the whole film. I'm still not over that. I
Phil
remember
Coles.
when
Phil
Phil
Coles'
Coulson,
fault.
yeah.
Are you
yeah.
going to say Phil Collins?
And
he's in New
Iron Man
York.
just
He's
gets
in
a
New York
notification
at
on
the end.
his
He's
phone.
like he's hitting the drums, then just like Loki comes over, just like
Shatari
boom.
Warrior
Yeah.
just died. Like,
Fucking Nick Fury just goes, oh, Phil Collins
Oh,
is dead. Oh, man.
But, what
anyway,
were you gonna say,
Phil,
Rhys?
Phil Coulson is dying, right? Loki's
Yeah.
just stabbed him. And Loki's sitting scheming, and Phil looks at him, right, and he says, "You're never going to win," right? And Loki says, "Oh, why not?" He says, "Because you haven't got the heart, you haven't got the conviction." And Loki's like getting into this. He's being questioned. His morals, his integrity, his whole character, his reason behind acting here is being questioned. And this is the darkest hour of the whole film. Everyone's separate, everyone's scattered. Loki looks like he's going to win. And Phil saying that he won't win because he doesn't have the conviction is a good thing that you'd like to investigate. And then Loki leans in to hear him better, and Phil shoots him with a big gun, and he goes, "Oh, so it does that," and then he dies. And then the
He
conversation
doesn't even die because
Does
they bring
he
him
die?
back in
No, he's
age.
back.
Are you sure he doesn't even die?
He's not, I don't think he's dead. I still
Is he
think-
still
I still
alive?
think he's still alive.
I don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s considered canon anymore, but
Better not be. Ghost Rider's in it?
Yeah, Ghost Rider's
Really?
in it. It's
Yeah?
yeah,
Wow.
it's Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider. He's got the car. Johnny Blaze does appear briefly in his first introduction. So he's like,
Okay.
it's like a flashback, and he reaches down. It's like he looks a lot like the Nick Cage Johnny Blaze,
right,
and then
okay.
he passes over the powers onto the what's I've just said his name and I forgot
Robbie Ray.
Robbie Reyes.
There you go.
Yeah, he passes the powers on to him.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's Tommy out of the Last of Us show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know who you
I've
mean.
seen
Why have they wasted Ghost Rider on that as well?
That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
They just throw away these good characters.
Ryan Gosling
Well-
has been saying for years, I want to play Ghost Rider. Let me play Ghost Rider.
I'm not gonna.
Let him play Ghost Rider.
It's
But
exactly
then it's
that,
the,
like-
it's the Mahershala Ali Blade problem again.
Exactly that. It's
Yeah.
like, just why is it so hard to take like these extremely like it couldn't be simpler how cool Ghost Rider is.
Exactly.
He's a flaming skull guy
All
on a
those-
motorbike.
All those shots
like,
that you see in HMV, that's him.
literally, like there's just nothing. There's nothing more to it than that. And I mean, there
Yeah.
probably is. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there is. But like, all you need to do is make like a pretty decent, half decent action film with that sort of character. Ryan Gosling doing his
It
sort
sells
of
itself.
Ryan Gosling
Exactly.
charm. It does sell itself. You don't need any homework. You don't need any complicated shit. It's a comic book film. Just sell it as a comic book film. That's all it needs
Yeah.
to be, And Blade's the same. That is like literally the bane of my existence for the past 4 years. That I can't make a Blade
Does
film.
the man have Blade at the end of Eternals?
Yes, they did.
Four
They
did?
Years
4
ago.
years ago.
That-
and
that's-
I've not
that's
done
the
anything
thing.
with it.
He shows
It's
up
like
at the end of Eternals, and he's like talking to Jon Snow out of Game of Thrones
About
and,
being
and he's
the-
like, yeah, there's like the ebony blade, and he's like, oh, I don't think you're ready to become the Black Knight or whatever he
Black
is.
Knight or whatever.
And then that's it. And then
Yeah.
he's gonna be in Marvel Zombies, the animated show, but he's
Like-
not playing Blade. He's playing Blade as Moon Knight.
What?
So
Why,
Blade in Marvel
man?
Zombies
We're getting too
has
many
become
layers.
the avatar of Khonshu,
Uh-huh.
and that's Mahershala Ali playing him in that before he's actually played proper
That's just,
Blade.
like,
Put that in a What If
ridiculous, though.
episode.
Well, it is a spin-off of What If.
Oh, there we go then.
It's like, do you know the crappy adaptation of Zombies from What If, where it's like
Oh,
it's like a big
yeah.
it's just all comedic. It's like a spin-off of that, and it's mostly these new Phase 4 and Phase 5 characters as survivors. So it's like Shang-Chi, and he's got like a zombie arm, but he's got all the rings around there, and it's stopping the infection from spreading further.
Right.
And you've got,
okay.
but it's like the most bizarre selection of characters, because you've got like him, you've got do you know the assassin in Shang-Chi, the one with the mask who doesn't speak?
Yeah.
He's on
yeah.
the team. You've got Miss Marvel,
Oh, no,
Kate
thank
Bishop.
Miss Marvel, the second
Yeah.
superhero from New Jersey.
Who else? You've got Jimmy Woo.
Who the fuck's Jimmy Woo?
Do you know the
Who's that?
agent, the one who was like the joke from The Office, where it's like John Krasinski,
Oh,
but
I was
him.
just about to say, is that
Yeah.
the guy
Oh,
from
yeah.
The Office?
Yeah.
He's got like the close-up magic from Ant-Man. Yeah, him. But anyway, going back to
Jesus.
pre-Endgame, when I've looked at my list, there's a lot of pre-Endgame that I think's just like I wouldn't touch again, because it's just
No.
boring. Like
Right.
controversial opinions. I don't really care for Doctor Strange 1. I don't
Yeah.
really care for Avengers 2. I don't, like,
Which one's that? Age of
Age
Age
of
of
Ultron.
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 Like
See, you can't even remember.
but like a lot of them, when I've looked at them
watched some
again,
of
they're
these
just
donkeys,
the middle of the
yeah,
road.
so-
I don't really care about them. They're not entertaining.
Yeah.
Like I preferred the second Doctor Strange. Like that one wasn't
Yeah.
very good either.
Mhm.
But
But at
you've got
least it
that
had
tiny
some
bit of Sam
sauce,
Raimi
yeah,
coming
yeah.
through,
like
like
a little bit.
when
Yeah.
when Wanda's attacking Kamar-Taj, and it's just like
and
getting
she
into
comes
people's
through the
minds, just
portal,
coming
yeah.
through.
That bit's cool.
And then like the fight with the other Doctor Strange, where he's like throwing magic music notes at each other through magic. That was cool.
really
That
cool.
was really
Well,
cool.
that was
Yeah.
it. It had a lot of like Sam Raimi. It was I thought it was quite a decent Sam Raimi film, just not a very good Marvel
It's
film.
it's a good
That's
Sam
it.
Raimi film, and then but like you've got the corporate stuff that you need a bit. So like you've got all the cool Sam Raimi visuals, and then he goes to this other world, and then you've got like the obligatory cameos. So it's like it's literally one by one. It's like Blackguard Boltigan. It's like who? Oh, it's
Black
Black
Bolt,
Bolt
yeah.
from the Inhuman show.
Remember Black
Everyone loves it.
Everyone
I love Black Bolt, actually.
Black Bolt's cool.
Black Bolt's really
It's
cool.
Captain Carter, everyone's favourite new character who's in everything.
Yeah.
You've got other Captain Marvel, Lashana Lynch, who keeps coming back in everything somehow.
I don't
Even
think
though
I've
her-
seen. Yeah, because I
even
never
though her
remember
remember being in that
character-
film.
Yeah, because she was in the original Captain Marvel as a maid,
Oh, aye.
and then she
yeah.
dies of cancer off screen
Oh,
in the lead up to WandaVision. Because
Oh,
like, do you know Monica, whatever she's called, Rambeau?
yeah.
She's
Oh,
she's
yeah.
her daughter. So then you've got that, and then She comes back in Doctor Strange 2 as an alternate universe Captain Marvel. And then she shows up again in the after credits of the second Captain Marvel as Binary.
What?
She's hanging around with the X-Men, of like the classic Fox X-Men, because Kelsey Grammer's Beast's there.
Oh yeah.
Is she animated? Or?
No,
She's live action.
Is she animated? What are you talking about?
You said you're hanging around with Fox X-Men. Oh, wait, that's Fox
Yes,
X-Men.
Fox. Not
animated
not
Fox
the
X-Men.
90s Fox X-Men,
Okay,
the
right.
actual Fox
That would've been
X-Men.
cool.
That would've been much cooler if it was the Fox
animated
kids.
post-credit scene.
I
That
must
was
admit,
brilliant.
that was one thing I was a little sad they didn't do in Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought there was going to be a moment where they'd like go into like the
that'd be
X-Men
brilliant,
97
yeah. Oh, wait,
universe and
hang
they had like a little animated segment.
So you know in
but
the second Captain Marvel film and Kelsey Grammer's Beast's there?
Yeah,
Is that the one's
Marvels.
going to be in Doomsday?
yeah.
But he's CGI?
Yeah.
No?
It's.
I don't want that.
I think what it's going to be is a weird middle ground between the original X-Men films and the 90s show. Because like the
Right.
aesthetic of that post-credit scene, it's got like the X-Men door in that from the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
But Beast looks like the animated
Yeah,
one,
that's
and he's
what
got
it is.
he's got like the shorts like the animated one and the lab
Yeah.
coat. But he's got Kelsey Grammer's
Kelsey
voice.
Grammer.
Yeah.
So I think that's just going to be what it is, like how Hugh Jackman in the new Deadpool had
Yeah,
like the
he was,
yellow
like,
and
in
blue
between.
suit, but he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
Oh,
I
I
don't.
mind
I don't
that.
mind that so much because I mean,
Yeah,
Beast.
that's cool.
You can't imagine Kelsey Grammer running about in a big furry Beast
I want
costume.
to see it though.
And like, I mean, it would be hilarious, but they wouldn't do that in the same way they wouldn't do a like costume of the Thing anymore because it's just like.
Oh,
Yeah.
they still
Yeah.
should.
There's some characters that I think just work better in CGI. Like
Yeah, I
if
see what you
the CGI is all right, you know, it's only really like that's the issue that you forget. Like it's only like the CGI only doesn't work if the CGI is crap. Like the CGI can look really good. Like Rocket
Yeah,
Raccoon would have been crap if it was a little puppet animatronic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a CGI character and it worked really well. You know, so like. There's a lot of things like that. It's just because the CGI isn't always great nowadays. But
Yeah, definitely. So, how is everyone feeling about the future of these films? Some of the recent stuff might not have been marvelous. Whoa! But the future is still looking bright. Is it?
X-Men.
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 X-Men are coming. It's only been around
Fantastic
18
Four?
million years.
Fantastic Four
looks
looks
really good.
Yeah, that looks alright.
That looks great.
I think it looks good.
Fantastic Four looks really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm looking forward
And
to it.
I'm cautiously optimistic about the next Avengers films,
Yeah.
despite
same.
the Robert Downey Jr. in the room.
Yeah.
He's over there. He's in the
there
corner
he
over
is.
there.
What are they
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Robert Downey Jr.
You guys ever tried shawarma?
Morgan Freeman.
Well, I think the thing that is quite important to note though is that like they're never going to stop because as Billy has just demonstrated, even though you're not that bothered on most of them, you know every tiny minute detail about every character. So
Yeah.
people are still watching them. People are still
Well, yeah,
engaging in it.
I think the only MCU thing like that I haven't seen is the Agatha Harkness show.
Oh,
Because
see,
I don't really care because I watched all the other shows that they've put out. I even watched Echo and Secret Invasion, but I just after those I was like, I've heard Agatha's good, but like I don't care about the characters.
no, well that's
No.
it.
Because we're
It's
getting
like-
too obscure. That's the question. How much care does the general audience have?
Well, how relevant is Agatha Harkness's show going to be to going forward, apart from introducing Wanda's son into the real world? Because they,
What?
yeah, do you know how?
Do you know what I mean? What does that have bearing on anything?
Do you know
like?
how in WandaVision she had like fake kids?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then that's what the plot of Doctor
Wanda's
Strange
son,
2 was.
like-
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
I didn't watch
the fella
WandaVision
out of
either, but-
Heartstopper is in that.
Oh, is he?
And it's like the big mystery of who's this kid. Everyone knew it was Billy
It was gonna
Maximoff
be-
going in, but they finally, and then he's in it as is it Wiccan. He's Wiccan.
Wiccan.
Yeah,
Wait, in what?
in Agatha Harkness.
Right.
And then he was in that supposedly leaked concept art of the, for the next Avengers film with all the young people like Kate,
Team's getting
young,
mint. That
young,
team's getting wonged.
young Avengers, and they're all almost 30.
That team's getting minced. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
honestly,
Well,
I know.
because that
Lord.
was so weird if that's going to be, because like it was all these young people, and then you just got the friggin' granddads on the end. You've got Chris Pratt and Wong on the other end.
It's just daft,
And
isn't
then
it? Though?
you had the Blob X-Men thing, not the actual Blob, but like the little green floating X-Men
That's what
man
makes
from
me
the
think
comics.
it's real concept art.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
can
'cause
see
they got
them
them
putting
random characters.
crap in, yeah.
But that's the thing. This is what I mean, though. Why is that? Why do they even have to do the Avengers? Like the Avengers
Don't
aren't
know.
the only team that they could pull from.
It's just-
Like,
Avengers
Avengers are the
Fantastic
most, are the
Four.
least interesting
they are
team.
literally the least
It's Brandon.
interesting team.
It's, Disney has invested loads in Avengers, and like
Yeah.
if people see the name Avengers, they go and watch it. So because like they've got their own Marvel land in the parks now, and they call that Avengers Campus. They don't call it like Marvel Land or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Avengers are always the highest grossing out of a lot of them. It's branding at the end of the day, even if it's not like a proper Avengers film. Because like this one coming up, out of the cast that's announced, they've got more Fantastic Four and X-Men than actual Avengers in it.
Yeah, but even if that was the case, then they shouldn't have killed off the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like if they wanted to keep making Avengers films, maybe, put the Avengers in
Well,
them.
I think
Because
they probably will do. I've been saying for ages that I think they'll do a soft reboot afterwards, because there's no way you've got
They can't keep this going
the
forever,
X-Men
can
and
they?
all that kicking about now, and you won't have actual Iron Man. You won't have actual like Steve Rogers, Captain America. I think they can keep Sam around. I think because in the comics they've coexisted.
Yeah.
So like I think you could like have a new fella in playing Captain America, and just like I think at the end of this, whatever you want to call it, this multiverse saga, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, whatever, all get smushed together, new continuity, as if this is how it's always been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they should do. Just an entire reboot, because they're building the tracks as they're moving the train.
That's a good analogy.
They're not building them very well. They're like, we'll throw Ironheart.
Let's just do
Black
all
Panther.
these random characters.
Let's get the Fantastic Four in. X-Men. More X-Men. That's working. More X-Men. Deadpool.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that bothers us though, because it's like, because they keep doing that, but it's like, but there are so many of these characters that they've not touched upon. Like you killed off Iron Man, you killed off Captain America. Move on. They're dead. Do something else. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much of this I've watched recently between Thunderbolts, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that new Captain America film. They're just like, stop banging on about Captain America. Like, he's dead. It's done. It's just leave it. Just like move on to X-Men, move on to Daredevil, move on to Blade, for fuck's sake. Like all of these other characters.
Born Again.
Yeah, Daredevil.
I suppose it works here for the future thing though, because like I thought season 1 was mid.
Really?
Born Again.
Yeah, it was.
I think the first episode was really good, and then the last 2 episodes were really good,
Yeah.
and then the stuff in the middle was like, it's just boring.
Yeah.
That's how
I think
they do it.
it's a good show. Don't get us wrong; it's better than most of the stuff they've done, but like, it's easily Daredevil's weakest season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it leaves it in a really interesting place.
Yeah, the way
forward.
it ends is really cool. I do love the idea of
Like-
vigilantes becoming outlawed. That's really.
But even then, that goes back to that the problem with the interconnectivity, because like Wilson Fisk's the mayor.
Yeah.
Superheroes in New York are outlawed. What's just happened? Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
just-
like
yeah,
they've just
you've-
been doing.
Superheroes have just been in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've just been in New York kicking about. Voids erased half of New York, then brought them back.
And Wilson Fisk wasn't saying a word. You know, it's not like
and
he's
now
there.
now the new Avengers are based in the city again. Like I know that they are government sanctioned technically, because they work for the government, but it's still weird.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
middle
Yeah.
ground.
They're trying to be as broad and expansive as they can, but still, with the movies especially, trying to keep the general audience coming along. If you haven't seen all of Born Again, if you haven't seen like everything, then Wilson Fisk, well, he should be there. If we're going continuity wise, if you're like invested in all the shows, you're expecting Wilson Fisk to show up or something like that.
I kind of wish they had done that now. I'm just imagining like,
Just
I saw some,
what the heck is going on?
I saw some truly troubling things in the void, and as a result, it's just like you can just imagine him.
Tired. So they are enough of this.
It leaves it in an interesting place for the future, but if you get to that second season
Mr. Murdoch.
and there's no other heroes in it, it'll just be silly.
Yeah.
Because like if you're outlawing vigilantes and the only people you've got in your show are Daredevil and Punisher, it's silly. Like Spider-Man's already on Fraud Watch, and you've canonized all these other Netflix shows. You might as well put them in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get why it ended like that, and
Yeah,
they
it's
didn't
like
just throw
we need an army. And then
need
Radio
a
starts
team.
playing it. It's fucking Josie, the barkeeper, Cherry,
That was who's Cherry?
Karen Page.
Cherry wasn't in the
some
original
police
show, was he?
officers.
Cherry should have been Detective Mahoney.
Mahoney, yeah.
Because that
But
would
like, just
that
throw the
worked.
defenders in there, even just for one frame. Like they could have.
That would have been mad.
Exactly.
Like they could have
That would've
just
been
they
insane.
have a team. They've already done it. They've canonized it. Like just call these
I
pals
know
up.
you've decided not to do
She's so agitated
the
with them, he just
reboot with
doesn't wanna work with them
Daredevil.
again.
You're continuing the Netflix. You're not doing the reboot anymore. Commit,
Exactly.
because like it's funny going back to all these other Phase 4 things now. Though after Daredevil, like the original one's being canonized.
Yeah.
Because like you've got you've got like the heightened versions of the characters that are in the other ones, and then you go to Born Again, it's back to being grounded and gritty because they've decided to continue the original continuity. So you've got you've got Daredevil bouncing all over the shop in She-Hulk, which he is acrobatic in Born Again, but not to that extent. And you've got Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye. He tanks an explosive arrow to the chest, no marks to him, because he's meant to be like much more powerful, like the comics.
He's still just a dude, though, isn't he?
He's just
a dude, but like in the comics, he's
massive.
He's massive, and he's mostly muscle. So like he's really strong, and you see that because he picks up Kate Bishop and he just starts chucking her all over, and he's tanking arrows to the shoulder and everything. Which just like it was cool, but it was out of place. It looks even more out of place now.
That's too much.
You say out of place. There was leaked. It was fake. Concept art. Do you remember when he was
fake? One of them absolutely like
it's the
Spider-Man the animated series
in my
massive.
life. Vincent D'Onofrio's like 25 stone.
Into the Spider-Man is just Vincent D'Onofrio's tiny head on like a big massive house-shaped body.
I think the future, I'm cautiously optimistic for it, which I think is a general sentiment for most people.
I think you've just got to. I'm excited about what I'm excited about, and not that bothered on the rest. So I'm excited to see what they do with the X-Men because I like the X-Men. I'm excited to. Well, I'm hoping Spider-Man doesn't get the shaft because I like Spider-Man. For Christ's sake, make a Blade film because I like Blade. Daredevil, all of them sort of characters. Like, I'll be quite keen to see what they do with them.
Punisher is getting a special presentation, like the Guardians Holiday special.
That's cool.
Night.
That'll be good.
Do you know that after credit scene at the end of Daredevil?
Yeah,
that's what that's meant to be leading into.
Oh, cool. That could be good.
So it's like if it's like a 40-minute thing of him doing a prison break from Kingpin's prison with Lalo Salamanca from Better Call Saul. He was in. Have you seen Hawkeye?
No.
He was in Hawkeye. He was Kate Bishop's father-in-law, and he's swordsman, and then he comes back in Daredevil.
Oh yeah,
that sounds very cool.
Well, I think,
he's just Lalo, but a vigilante.
Nice.
The thing we're missing though is I know people rag on that episode of Daredevil where it was like just a little heist in the bank, but like I like
it.
Well,
Yeah,
I like
that
bits.
one.
I like bits where it feels like just a random one-off issue of the
that's
comics.
what I was
Because
myself.
it's like comics. When you read a Marvel comic, it's like they're designed so that you can pick any of them up and just read without much context. And we're missing more stuff like that where you get character moments, them just fighting crime, saving the day, doing superhero stuff without it being particularly high stakes and not
they're rushing ahead.
supernatural. They need to give the current characters more moments like that.
Because if our next film is New Avengers, Age of whatever, like Thanos 2 comes down,
exactly,
and we've got to fight him. We've got no time to breathe.
We don't care because we don't know who these people are. And this is a terrible comparison. But for example, you will probably know what I'm on about. Like when you see them TikToks where it's like the best of the Marvel cast all being fun with each other, and you get the like characters in the films, and them little funny, quirky character moments. If they did that for this generation, it's like, what's a funny Shang-Chi interaction with Doctor Strange? There is none because they've never met each other, and yet they're put on a team and expected to fight fucking Doctor Doom in a year or two. It's like it doesn't work when you skip over all of the character development because otherwise you just don't care what happens to these people.
That's why the first few phases paced it out.
Because you want to see.
We had 3 main trilogy, didn't we? We had Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Cap 1, 2, 3. Thor 1, 2 3,
Guardians
as well.
Technically didn't finish
separate,
until but still Guardians 1 and 2 because that was why it was so impactful. Everything that happened in Infinity War, it was like, oh Christ, like here we go, the Guardians crossing over with these, and turns out actually they're the ones who almost screwed it up. Really, it's like it's quite an interesting dynamic between like the characters in a situation you don't know. It's like that's the way it should be, really.
But at this point, we've got like 1,000,001 different storylines going on. And we need to shrink it down.
Calm down.
I think that's a good sort of sentiment to end it on. Marvel,
Agreed.
Kevin Feige, if you're listening, I know you do. We've got your stats.
Take this stupid fucking cap off, please.
Yes, take the cap off, but also do more of what Jake said. Go back to basics. And I think,
just read some comics, take some inspiration from that, and see what happens, and give it some character. That's what's really missing, I think.
Make an actual film, please.
Yeah,
instead of
exactly.
just hype moments and aura.
Right, I think that's all the world-ending stakes and quirky one-liners we have time for. Now we pose the question to you, true believers. What do you think about the state of the MCU right now? Get in touch with us at cineclub.podcast@sparksunderland.com.
And make sure to check out our socials at the CineClub Podcast _Spark on Instagram, at the CineClub Podcast on TikTok, or our latest venture, the CineClub Podcast on Facebook. They're all very good ways to keep up to date on the latest podcast developments.
As always, this episode was recorded and produced by us, the Sunderland University students, as well as being edited by Emily Main. A special thanks to Steve Cannon, Barbara Sadler, and Richard Berry. And a reminder that our Fantastic Four this week have been me, Rhys,
Me, Matthew.
Me, Jake.
And me, Billy. This has been a CineClub production for Spark. Thanks for listening. Excelsior!